Who the heck is Bobbi Althoff?
I know nothing about you.
Yeah. Huh?
Who are you again?
What do you mean?
Sound like, who are you?
As the birth of another powerhouse podcaster enters the space, a lot of us has questioned, where does she come from? Althoff has lined up a slew of A-list, interesting, and impressive guest interviews in her short span as a podcaster. Those featured guests include Funny Marco, Drake, Lil Yachty, and now Mark Cuban. Some have gone on to say that she is indeed an industry plant, which is often used to describe a music artist associated with a label but appearing as if they are independent and self-made, or a music artist whose popularity is due to marketing efforts alone. Yet with her gaining so much momentum, we still know very little about her. Sure, a couple scrolls down her TikTok will show you that she's a mother and that she has a husband, and if you dig a little deeper, you might learn that her father is a contractor for famous people.
My dad did work on Snoop Dogg's house.
And that she resides in Laguna Beach, California.
I live in Laguna Beach.
It's not no beach over here. There's some real shit going on outside.
Which may explain the connections she has to these high-profile guests. Or it could have something to do with her being signed to one of the biggest talent agencies in the world in WME. But it could very well be organic. We have deduced so far that she's attractive, and her style of dry humor has been compared to content creator Amelia Dimmeldenberg, Caleb Presley from Barstool, as well as Theo Vaughn. The selling point is in the visual component, which obviously the audio version lacks. You have to see her grow visually uncomfortable.
You're hot. I just mean this is like a confidence booster.
Aloof and confused.
Rip me out the plastic. I've been acting brand new.
So you can grasp the full range of emotions she displays, which may not translate as well to audio. A friend of mine stated that the humor in this podcast is not without merit.
You want to be on TV?
Yeah.
Say nigga right now in the camera.
I'm.
You'll get there.
It's about, connecting with people, and that you could use that as an opportunity to meet those people. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
I don't have sponsors.
As she drinks mimosas in bed with perhaps the greatest rapper to ever live, and she appears clueless about the culture that Drake dabbles in, perhaps within all of the chaos and confusion, there is something charming to what Bobbi brings to an interview.
I am actually carrying your conversation on your podcast for you.
That's because you keep talking over me, not because you're...
The awkward lookaways and the notes written in the palm of her hand, the low preparation and the low production. I believe she knows exactly what she's doing.
Don't try to be funny, because you're not very funny.
Okay.
How old are you?
22.
You're not 22, you're 38. Why'd you lie?
But the dynamic and angle that she tackles as a content creator, fully setting into the role of a clueless, unaware white girl who doesn't have an inch of an idea of what goes on in black culture, for the sake of humor, raises some eyebrows.
Why are you acting like you don't know these things already?
Why would I know this?
I do a lot of things on Google.
You think
use Google?
I didn't research you before this.
Because I find it hard to believe that a 25-year-old who is a big TikTok influencer prior to being a podcaster could be this unaware of black culture, at least as much as she leads on.
I've never
What's
heard
your favorite? What?
Hmm.
You've never heard?
Not that I can think
Never
of.
heard Drake's song. That's like,
Who's your profile picture on Instagram? Is that your dad?
what?
The person on your Instagram page?
It's Lil Wayne.
Who's that?
Stop this.
Who's Lil Wayne?
Stop this.
And it's obvious it's a character that she's playing. Some say she's been a content creator for over a decade, and she has put in the work to receive the opportunities she has so far. I can't say that I've seen her prior to the Funny Marco interview, but I won't write off the potential work she's put in. But I can probably deduce that she wasn't doing this type of content before, so it's safe to say she blew up from this, which means she fully pivoted, giving credence to the industry plant accusations.
Is Bobbi Althoff an industry plant? People believe Bobbi Althoff is a podcast industry plant because it feels as her interviews with famous rappers have come out of thin air. They have.
Like out of nowhere.
I've seen a critique recently that in a long-form setting, this style of content can get exhausting, and that maybe her strengths are in snackable content. The awkward girl humor and playing into the novelty of race is certainly an angle that's been done before, but there are some witty and insightful moments that balances out the fatigue that a viewer could feel who isn't conditioned for this kind of humor over an hour-long period.
You know?
I flew all the way here
You did. I really do appreciate
on my
that.
daughter's first birthday.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
You missed your daughter's first birthday for
To
this.
be here.
Dark.
The running gag of hiring guests for $300 and making absolutely zero profit from this podcast.
I paid someone $300.
to get me here.
Yes.
That's all I'm worth.
Don't you monetize this in some way, even
Not
with the
at all.
equity of the following that you build on, what is
Not
it,
at all.
TikTok?
I make $0 from being here.
The camera pans and awkward silence in between sassy and condescending takes
You'll never understand, Drake.
maybe proves Yachty's point right, and it's probably by design that the guest is enlisted to bear the dead weight that the character Bobby brings to the show.
Tough one to power through, I'm not gonna lie.
Brother, I'm the one holding this conversation alive. I'll tell you that much.
She tried to allude that she did not know a Drake song. Now you're pushing the shtick a little too far. I could see possibly not knowing who Young Thug is. Very hard, but I can see it. But you are claiming to not know who Lil Wayne is? Unacceptable.
Who's Lil Wayne?
Stop this.
The conversation flowed better with Yachty, and I credit Yachty for being a good conversationalist, humorous, and insightful.
Do you think I'm going to be more successful than you?
I hope so.
You hope so, but let's be realistic.
Well, I mean, it's as real as you know, realism is what you make it.
I believe she had the best chemistry of Funny Markle.
You don't have standards?
I dated a girl in a wheelchair.
Okay, there's
And no, but I'm telling you, she walked out my life still.
And well, the Drake interview is the one that blew up. When you hear a podcast, you might be expecting more natural and rhythmic flow of conversation, a podcast with more preparation, and more meat to sink your teeth into while on your commutes, during studying, and any other moments where you consider throwing on a quality podcast. And that's something this podcast may lack, especially in the audio-only format. This version of the podcast at the moment is limited in concept, and that might be the draw to it, while also operating as its Achilles heel. There's a lot of space of nothingness over the course of an hour, which makes this podcast a challenging podcast to sit through in a long-form setting, where the shtick is exposed and where the dry humor becomes exhausting, and we critique as a listener what the host is bringing to the conversation. And what she brings to the table is not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but it's found its audience, and we'll have to see the longevity of it going forward. But let me know your thoughts on the podcast and its hosts.
I don't really think we should talk about race.